Alright, so what's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Now just before we get started with today's video, I just want to take this moment to apologise for the sort of spotty upload schedule I've had for the past week and a half or so. If you guys didn't see the community post that I ended up putting out there, I was basically having problems with my PC. It was actually my graphics card because it was kind of an underpowered graphics card. I've had it for just over I think 2 years now, and it's basically just gotten to the point where every single time I try and record a video or edit a video, my PC would just shut down and just crash every time. I was having this problem for I'd say about a month or two. I think it was ever since this game first came out. I tried to record a zombies video literally on the launch of the game, and about halfway through, about 35 minutes into the video, my PC just crashed, and I was so annoyed because it was actually a really good video. And basically since then it's been an issue, but I've never actually gone ahead and upgraded my graphics card until it got to the point where it just wouldn't work anymore. So I bought a new graphics card. I've got a 4060 in there at the moment, so it's a pretty decent one, to be fair. But obviously now everything's up and running. We're back to normal, so uploads should be back to normal. Now I don't know if you guys remember, but around about season 1's release for Modern Warfare 3, Activision came out with a sort of blog post and basically said we're going to be talking about matchmaking for Call of Duty, because this has been a topic I think ever since Modern Warfare 2019 came out, and everyone's just been complaining about the skill-based matchmaking. But we hadn't heard anything, literally anything, from Call of Duty or Activision themselves up until this point. They would never talk about it, say how it works, or even acknowledge the fact it's in the game, until they said, yeah, we're going to be talking about this matchmaking system. And they said they would be doing it in season 1, and they literally left it until the last week of season 1 to even talk about it. So here we are today. Now, I'm not going to sit here and break down every single thing they talk about and read the blog post word for word. I'm going to leave it in the description below if you guys want to do that. But I'm just going to give you guys a TLDR real quick. It's not really that interesting. I mean, pretty much everything they talk about, we've already guessed or we know already. So the best way that I would describe the skill-based matchmaking system, which is in the game at the moment, is it's not really a skill-based matchmaking system. It's more of a retention-based matchmaking that is basically, it works off your skill and your recent performance. And the way that it works in my mind is that it puts you in lobbies with people a very similar skill to you, and they would sort of very specifically choose how your matches go. So it's not up to you whether you win the game or not, is what I'm trying to say. It's basically up to the matchmaking system if you win or lose the game. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that it's 100% scripted, but the way that they would work it is that they'd put, very high skill players against you if they want you to lose, or absolute bots if they want you to win. But the whole point of doing that was basically just so you wouldn't quit the game out of rage or anything. That it would be perfectly tuned so you just keep playing long enough for them, because obviously the metric that people want nowadays out of their games is player retention and playtime. Yeah, bye. I'm not getting drop shot like that and staying in the game. You're out of your mind. So they have this screenshot here, which I'm just going to show you guys, which is basically all of the factors that goes into the matchmaking system. Obviously, you've got connection at the top. They say the second most important factor is the time to match, and everything else is sort of on the same playing field. You've got place diversity in recent maps and modes, which I'm assuming is a way to sort of make it so you're not playing the same maps every time. You've got input device and platform, which is obviously just, standard match, but everyone knows how that works. You've got voice chat as well, which I didn't think would be a way that things are factored, but apparently if you're using voice chat or not, that factors into the matchmaking, I suppose. And last but definitely not least, you've got skill/performance. And note how they put skill/performance here. I personally don't think that skill is the way that things are determined. It's more based on your recent performance, because obviously people reverse boost by going into a game and just dying a load. That's your recent performance. That's not, that doesn't affect your overall KD. So if it was based on skill, reverse boosting for 10-20 games wouldn't matter, but it's obviously based on recent performance instead of just, how good you are at the game, how your KD is. But basically what they say in this blog post is that connection is the #1 thing. They'll always try and match you in the games with the best connection. And then you've got time to match, which is the second most important thing, which is basically just trying to get you in the game as quick as possible, which I understand. And the only other one they talk in detail is the actual skill one, because obviously that's going to be the most controversial one. And like I say, they basically just talk about it how we know it is already. And they basically say that the least skilled players, or people on the lower end of the skill bracket, they say that if they're on a losing streak, they're more likely to just quit playing the game altogether. Whereas somebody like me might go on a losing streak, I might quit and I might come back tomorrow, which I most likely will. But somebody who's newer at the game might just stop playing the game entirely and move on to another game. But essentially what they say is that the matchmaking system, at least in terms of the skill portion of it, it will basically try and make it so you're not constantly on a losing streak or constantly on a winning streak. They basically fine tune it it. So you have a very even split. So you're losing games, you're winning games. You have a very varied taste of the game, I suppose, which I think people knew that, that's how it worked anyway. They'd make you lose a few games, be on a low. And then they put you in the noob lobbies. And then, oh my God, I've got 60, 70 kills. I want to carry on playing the game. They give you a couple more lobbies. That's how we knew it worked anyway. They also talk about the player retention in a very different way than I think a lot of people talked about it. They basically say that they want the player retention as high as possible so that the ecosystem of the game and the matchmaking is quicker. So what they say is if you've got more people rage quitting, like fully just getting off the game because they're annoyed about going on a lose streak, then you're going to have less people to matchmake with, therefore making the matchmaking like queue time a lot quicker, which definitely 100% makes sense. And that's about it, really. I mean, they don't really talk about anything else apart from debunking some, wild Twitter fan theories, like people saying that, how many bundles you bought affects the matchmaking, and if there's like hit reg matchmaking. No, none of that shit is obviously in the game. Yeah, that's the main thing they debunk, is like just the stupid Twitter theories. I know a lot of people are probably disappointed about this blog post, but I just want to say, what were you expecting? I mean, were you expecting them to just come out and say, oh, we're fixing skill-based matchmaking, we're making it so it's not based off skill at all? Like, what were you actually expecting them to say? At the end of the day, they've come out and done exactly what they said they were going to do. They've explained in its entirety how the matchmaking works in COD, which we've wanted to know for a long time, and they've gone ahead and told us. So what's the issue? That's a person. Wow. I genuinely thought that was like some terrain or something on the wall or something. But the fact that he's mounted on a car nowhere near the fucking hard point is nuts. Alright, they've also talked about how people in the higher skill bracket basically get sweatier lobbies. And they said they're going to work on something to basically try and address that issue. But I don't really know what they could do, because the way their matchmaking works is specifically set up to make it that way. But the whole point of the matchmaking system and the way that it works is basically so people of a similar skill level play the game, so people like noobs aren't getting stomped on by people like me who have been playing the game for like over 10 years. One of the FAQs though, which I found quite interesting, is they basically got asked if they were considering removing skill as one of the features that the matchmaking worked off of, and they said they have tested it and considered it, and they're going to release some of those tests in the future. But it is something they're considering, but I just don't, once again, know how it's going to work. But if they can figure out a way to make it so we don't get sweaty lobbies like we do nowadays, and we have some more variation, then I'll be very happy. But up until then, this is the best we've got. Now, after hearing the way that this matchmaking system actually works, I don't really know if my opinions have really changed on it, but I'm just glad that they're actually coming out and talking about it, because like I said in the start of the video, this is literally the first time they've ever addressed the issue. They've never talked about how it works before, their mindset behind it or anything like that. So to even just get a blog post about how it works is great, because it basically confirms everything that people have been speculating, and it basically removes that speculation from the community. It's more like okay, this is how it works, as opposed to, oh, I think this is how it works. I don't know. But they have said they're going to be working on more communication and basically try and resolve some issues that people have in the community, which I like to see. I genuinely do, because it shows us now that they are trying to listen and work on it a bit more. I mean, the way that I think it should work is that the matchmaking we have now in the standard multiplayer should just be in ranked only, and the skill section of the skill-based matchmaking in the standard multiplayer is turned down a little bit and isn't as aggressive. Like, I do understand why they have gone ahead with this system, because obviously they want the player retention for the newer people so they can, suck more money out of the newer people. They're a business at the end of the day. And to be honest, I would be fully behind this matchmaking system if it wasn't so bad for the higher end of people. Like people like me, or just higher skill people in general who've been playing the game for a long time. It really hurts us. Like, yeah, it helps the newer people. I can understand that completely. But for people like me, it's really bad, because we're playing in these sweaty lobbies that half the time we don't even deserve to be in. And like I said before, I'd understand it if it was just in ranked, but the fact that it's in standard multiplayer, it's so aggressive as it is, it just makes the standard multiplayer feel unfun. But then again, maybe that's just because of how sweaty the standard Call of Duty player has become over the years. I mean, we've got to admit it, Call of Duty is definitely more of a sweaty game nowadays than it used to be. And I think that's genuinely just because of the nature of games as a whole. I mean, 10 years ago, games weren't as mainstream as they are nowadays, but because of lockdown especially, a lot more people have taken up gaming as a hobby. It does feel like I have to just try too hard. Like, I can't actually just enjoy it for the sake of it. I have to try try to enjoy it. And don't get me wrong, for ranked mode, I enjoy that. But for standard multiplayer, it's not how it should work. This matchmaking system should only be in ranked. But that's just me personally. I think just standard multiplayer shouldn't be as aggressive with the matchmaking system as it should be in ranked. Like, I can understand trying to keep the skill brackets tighter in ranked because obviously there's a rank for it. It's a competitive game mode. That makes a lot of sense. But when you're talking standard multiplayer, I miss the days where it was a lot more organic. And this isn't me trying to say I want to stomp on noobs, I want to drop 100 kills every game. It's not about that. I still want variation in my games. It just feels like the variation's lost. Like in ranked, I can completely understand it because you're in skill brackets, you work to get out of them, so you fight the people in your similar skill bracket. But when you play normal multiplayer, there's no overarching thing to go for really. It's just an experience in itself. You go for your camos, you go for the win maybe, but it's still very casual. So you should be able to come up against, you know, I should be able to come up against noobs, I should be able to come up against Optic. It should just be a lot more varied. That's gonna do it from me. Thank you guys very much for watching. Check out the blog post down below. It is an interesting read, to be fair. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.